Folks in the back, if you could find a seat, please, we'll start the service. Folks in the back who are not paying attention to me, who don't hear what I'm saying, who are ignoring me, thank you, thank you. I'd like to welcome all of you here to Etz Chaim Synagogue and the main Jewish Museum, and welcome you as you've come to pay your final respects for Julie Lyons. The Jewish people respond to death with the utterance of three words, Baruch Dayan Ha'emet. And downstairs in the chapel before the service, we met with the family and they did the same thing. They said the blessing that says, praised is the true judge. And we praise God not for the fact that he took Julie away from us, but for the fact that she was here for 91 years and for all of the good that she brought to this world, not only through her own actions, but through her children and her grandchildren and forever. We say, Adonai Natan v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarech. God has given and God has taken. Praised be the name of God. The time of mourning is certainly a complicated time, filled with many memories, emotions, some sweet, some maybe bittersweet. But we begin this service today with a recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Julie's life with the 3,000-year-old tradition of the people of Israel and the eternity of God. We begin with the reading of Psalm 15. Do we deserve to enter God's sanctuary? Can we merit a place in the presence of God? Live with integrity, do what is right, speak the truth without deceit, have no slander upon your tongue, and do no evil to others. Do not mistreat your neighbor, spurn a contemptible person, but honor those who revere God. Never retract a promise once made, though it may bring you harm. Lend no money at unfair rates. Accept no bribe against the innocent. May these deeds be your own, then shall you stand firm forever. A traditional psalm is the 23rd Psalm. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echzor, Binos deshe yarbitzeni, Alamei menuchot yenachaleni, Nafshi yeshovev, Nafshi yeshovev, Yancheni b'maglei tzedek leman shemo gam ki elech begei tzalmoves lo irara ki ata imadi shivtecha Omi shantecha, shivtecha, omi shantecha, hemo yenachamuni, taroch ולפוני שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We now turn to something that's very traditional for a woman, with the attributes and the values that Julie had. It's called Etz Chaim, a woman of valor. It comes from the book of Proverbs 31. Etz Chaim miyim savarachal mibninim michra. What a precious find is an Etz Chaim, a woman of valor. Her worth is far beyond rubies. Her husband puts his confidence in her, and he lacks no good thing. She is good to him, never bad all the days of her life. She opens her hand to the needy and extends her hand to the poor. She is clothed with strength and splendor. She looks to the future cheerfully. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and her tongue is guided by kindness. She oversees the activity of her household and never eats of the bread of idleness. Her children come forward and bless her. Her husband praises her and says, "Many women have done superbly, but you surpass them all." Charm is deceitful and beauty vain. But a God-fearing woman is much to be praised. Extol her for the fruit of her hand. Wherever people gather, her deeds will speak her praise. From the philosopher Ben Sira, I'll close with this little short passage. When parents who have taught their children pass on, that passing is not a death. As long as the child lives, there is a part of the parent that cannot die. When alive, a parent rejoices with children. In death, that parent will not grieve. The sweeping wind has blown its last. The tempest is no more. Now a time for refuge and solace, for lodging in the wilderness. For those of us blessed with having witnessed the care that one human being can show another, we know that wilderness does not last forever. Pain and sorrow may challenge our faith, but the courage to persevere in the face of adversity is a miracle. As long as there is compassion in the human heart and the will to act on a virtue both human and divine, there is reason to believe. Certainly, Julie lived her entire life with those sentiments in mind. She had compassion for everyone. I see so many faces here. We expected about a third of this amount of people to come. I'm glad we didn't do it at our chapel, so we have plenty of room for everybody. But why is that? Everybody loved Julie because she treated everybody so well. And everybody loved to visit, and they loved to talk, and she had stories about everybody going back to seems like the beginning of time. And so I do actually have a eulogy that I wrote, but I always defer, if I can, to family, because anything that I write, it's what I heard from somebody else. And when you have a eulogy, it's actually from your heart, from the experiences that you shared with your mother. And so I would like to begin by inviting her son, Bruce, up to the podium to share just a few words.
Okay, thank you. That's very good, thank you. I think that'll work fine. Okay. Hello, everyone. I don't even really need this, but okay. So I'm glad you're all here. Thank you so much for coming. My mom would be thrilled to see everybody that's here, and especially family. Thank you so much for coming quite a distance, some of you. She amazingly was so well loved at 75 State Street, where she has been for the past 15 or so years. The people there cannot stop talking about how they loved going into her room and getting her dressed, let's say, in the morning, and able to to talk to her about things that were going on and so forth. So, when that type of thing happens, you can only say she's quite an incredible woman. She was also, whether you know or not, president of the Maine Association of Challenged Children, and that was in South Portland for years, and she was instrumental in a lot of things that went on in the schools and in the community when it comes to those unfortunate people. We grew up in a neighborhood in Falmouth in the Lower Foreside, and it was quite a neighborhood. It was, there must have been 50 or so children running around at any one time, and it was nice because the parents would all get together from time to time and just say, that's fine. If your child is late getting home, they can have dinner at our house, or don't worry about a thing. Everything will be taken care of. And that's the kind of neighborhood that we grew up in, and my mom was instrumental in being a part of that neighborhood. She was always happy to see people. She was bright, enjoyed the community that she grew up with, the Jewish Community Center, and was instrumental in a lot of plays and music, and just a wonderful person. And I think some of the folks that knew her personally would certainly agree. So she will all certainly be missed, and I appreciate again everybody coming in to see her. Thank you.
So to echo what my brother said, thank you everybody for coming here. Some great distance, and it's really meaningful to me and my family that people have come from so far and so near to come in and help celebrate the life of my mom. Like me, I'm sure that everyone has read an obituary of an acquaintance or someone you knew from school or childhood, or someone's parents, where you learned of a life well lived with contributions to causes, to professional achievements, things that you never knew about that person. In the case of our mother, there are things that many of you may not know about Mom, some of which my brother touched upon. To me, at a very young age, my mom was this glamorous, larger-than-life mother who was on TV doing Yudie's Tire commercials, which were actually in black and white and like silent movies. At least that's what I remembered. Doing plays at the Jewish Community Center or some other community theater. She loved music and would flood our house in Falmouth with piano music and singing Broadway tunes on the piano in our living room. course, at the time, I never appreciated that that was actually great music. I was so proud to have my mother come into my first grade class with a plate full of brownies, believing that in the moment that there was no other mother that could hold a candle to mine. She instilled in me a love of music, maybe not her music. She used to force me to go to the Portland Symphony Orchestra at Merrill Auditorium during the school week, only to give me the sharp elbow when I regularly would fall asleep. She shared her love of musical theater with her granddaughter, Allie, and was almost as much fun watching her face when she would come to Allie's high school musicals. She never went to any of Drew's baseball games because, well, she didn't like baseball. She thought it was boring, but enjoyed hearing about his accomplishments on and off the field. She was very proud of both of her grandchildren, in Allie and Drew. The fact of the matter was she loved all her grandchildren, Allie, Drew, Bethany, and Michael, and her great-grandchildren as well. Mom was giving of her time to causes near and dear to her heart. As my brother mentioned, she was president of what was then actually known as the Maine Association of Retarded Children, and also the Maine Special Olympics, in support of our brother Mark. Bruce, Mark, and I each had our unique relationships with our mother, and that was because she understood what we needed, whether we knew it or not at the time. To us, we were raised by the most glamorous mother in the neighborhood, the best cook, baker of holly each week. She'd make 2 of them each week. Cookies, Danish, and a great brisket during the holidays. After Lynn and I got married, we asked Mom to come to the house. My parents had been divorced for some time, and we invited my dad over as well. So it was before the kids were born. It was Lynn and I and Bruce and my mom and dad. And she was really excited to make a brisket. She hadn't made it for quite a while. But Bruce and I were pretty excited about this opportunity. And so we sat down, and she served the brisket. The smell was fantastic in the kitchen, and we waited anxiously for those first bites. Almost in unison, it was just so peculiar. Bruce, my dad, and I took a bite at the same time. Took a bite of the tastiest chunk of shoe leather we'd ever had in our lives. And with the 3 of us breaking out in laughter, with my dad laughing that hard, it was rare, but we all were laughing. Seemed like 15 minutes had gone by. Lynn and my mother soon joined in, and that was the last time my mother ever made her brisket. And that was okay, because that moment was truly priceless, and I'll always remember that. I always knew that I could talk to my mom about anything, no matter what my struggles. She would say, "This too will pass." And I regularly remember those words in the toughest times in my life, both professionally and personally. And she was always right most of the time. Mom's passing and the burden of this loss to our family will not pass so easily, but I know we've had so many wonderful memories of her mother that will be a blessing for all of us who knew her every day. So rest in peace, Mom. Thank you all for coming.
I could use one, yes. Thank you for those very poignant remarks. So I won't share my eulogy, except I will share a couple of things. Because Julie lived her life for others, but she also had her own life as a person, and she was proud of some of the things that she did. So many of you here have known her most of your lives, all your life. Who knows what her first job was? No, really first job. When she was 12 years old, she worked at an ice cream stand 1 block away from here on the corner of Washington Avenue and Cumberland Avenue. by herself. How do I know that? Yeah, yes. So she shares some things about herself and her family during that interview. Another thing that she shared was she always liked to work. She worked at W.T. Grant's. She worked at some kind of a store I never heard of. And her job was fitting women to the proper size bras. And she loved that job. So for whatever reason, she was good at it. And later on, after she got divorced and the children grew up and she had nothing to do, she decided to take a job as a traveling salesperson in Boston, of all places. And who helped her? She said, I can't do this. A man named Bert Epstein brought her around and introduced her to all of the clients. And once again, her line, she had a few of them, but the line that she was most proud of was the line of bras that she represented. And when she took over, they had annual sales in all of New England of $12,000. And within 8 months, it was up to $87,000. And so that was her badge of honor, her claim to fame. She was very, very proud of that. I also want to mention about being Jewish. Of course, you know, coming here from Cuba and knowing only Jewish folks, as your family did, she came here and your father got a job with your uncle, Hyman. She was surrounded by Jewish people and Jewish life, but she moved easily between Jewish and non-Jewish. But the center, Jewish Community Center, was really kind of the focal point where she started singing and acting, and I know she wanted to be a professional actress. She didn't get to that point, and she gave up that idea before too long. But I was surprised to learn that when you were growing up, she kept a kosher house. That was very important to me, and I thought that's great. So it shows you that she may not have worn her Judaism on her sleeve, but the customs and the values that she learned as a Jewish daughter and granddaughter were very important to her. Maybe mostly Jewish daughters. She told me one time she asked her grandmother to babysit, and she said no. And she said, I never asked her again. So if she didn't want to babysit my children, that's okay. So she learned it from her mother. You know what? I'll give you the access to that interview, and you did a great job, by the way. You did a great job. Yeah. I think I'll end my remarks there because I want to dwell on what the boys had to say. She was a wonderful mother, and that's how a person is remembered. You can't always judge a person by the family that they raise. Some of us do the very best we can. I have 2 children, and one I'm enormously proud of. I'll leave it at that. But she has 3 children that she's enormously proud of, and I'm proud of my son too. I'm sorry. It's just a different kind of a life. But she's very, very proud of her family, and it really was part of who she was, and right from the time she had children until Monday. So I thank you all for coming. I offer the condolences of the community, the synagogue, and the museum, certainly to Bruce and to David and to Lynn and to Annette and all of the grandchildren. Some of you I think are here, I'm not sure. And Hyla and all of the others who were part of the family. And thank you all for coming. And in just a moment, we're going to conclude with the Keil Malei Rachamim. And then we will do a procession for those of you who'd like to join us to Temple Bethel Cemetery. So we are going to, the hearse is recognizable. It's going to be on Smith Street at the end of the street. The family is going to bring their cars around and get behind the hearse. And you can either follow us there or just meet us at Temple Bethel, where most people know where it is. If you wanted to put it into your GPS, it's 1 Johnson Road in Portland. And we will begin the service as soon as everybody gets there. Tonight from 5 until 7:30, there will be a Shiva observance at the home of Rob and Annette. It's at 221 Cumberland Avenue? 231, apartment 1. Apartment 1. So it'll be from 5 until 7:30. Don't everybody come at once. You want to all fit. So we spread it out for 2 hours, and that would be great. And if anybody would like to make donations in Julie's memory, I think you said the main Jewish museum. Okay, so that would be very nice. At this point, I would ask you to please rise. It is, Nechama Bat Chaim. Yeah. I got you. Very good, very good. What did I tell you about being Jewish? There you go, you got it. Okay. Yeah. Limole Rachamim, Shochein Bamrumim, Ametzei Menucho Nechono, Tachas Kanfei Ashchina, B'malos Kadoshim U'Tahorim Kizohar Harakia Mazhirim Es Nishmas Nechama Bas Chaim She'alcha Le'olama B'Gan Eden Tehei Menuchata Ono Baal HaRachamim Hastireu Beseter kenafecha leolamim, utror bitzror achayim es nishmata, Adonai hu nachalata, v'tanoach b'shalom al mishkava, v'nomar amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, to the soul of Nechama Bas Chaim Julianne Lyons, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that Julie find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace forever. And let us say, Amen. I ask you to remain at your seat as a family exits the chapel, and then either make your way to the cemetery or join us as we make our way together.